Well, hey folks, back how flies RC. Alright, just to let you know, FMS has sent me out this 1300mm PA18 Super Cub for review. Now, part of my getting to know our learning RC model series, or getting beginner series for RC models, looking at basically a trainer type planes. This is the second installment in that series, and this time we're going to be talking about tail draggers. Now, a perfect, obviously a tail dragger, because you have the gear in the front and the tail dragging wheel in the back. And this is another perfect beginning plane. It's very forgiving, very easy to fly, it's good to see, it's a good size, and it's just a great introductory plane to getting yourself into the hobby. Now, this particular plane features a gyro system, in which a gyro system is nothing more than a small computer that positions itself within the plane. It's in the plane, and it has a gyro within it, a stabilizing gyro within it. And what it does, it allows the plane to act a certain way based upon what mode you put it in. Now, this particular gyro has a three-part mode. The main mode for a beginner would be what we call stability mode, and that is a self-leveling mode. And what that does is, when you're learning how to fly a plane, the last thing you want to do is that plane to get away from you and to go into some orientation or some sort of position to where you're going to have a hard time recovering it, and you might panic as a new pilot. So basically, it's a self-leveling. If you look at those control surfaces, the ailerons, see how they're holding their position as I tilt the plane? Look at that elevator. See how it is holding its up position? Okay, what that would do, that would self-right the plane or level the plane to where a beginner will have a better recipe for success in successfully flying the plane. It also assists with taking off and landing by keeping the plane nice and locked in and level. That is one mode that the Reflex version 3 has, that's tuned specifically for this model and comes with this model. You also have another mode, which is like a direct mode or no gyro at all, which there is absolutely no stabilization whatsoever. You can consider that experience mode if you wish. And then there's optimized mode. In optimized mode, if you watch these control surfaces, you'll see them move a little bit, but then they go back to their trim position. What that does, it doesn't self-level the plane, but this plane only weighs a couple of pounds. It's made of foam. You're flying in 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. Well, that foam plane is going to get pushed all around the place. Well, that optimization, that type of gyro, just helps keep, instead of this plane doing this number here as it flies, the plane is a little more locked in, isn't quite so twitchy or jerky in the wind. That's all that is. It just helps it stay more locked in, but it does not self-level it. It's not a panic mode. It's not going to get you out of trouble. That's what the stability mode will do. That'll self-level, make the plane fly straight, so that a beginning pilot has time to think and save your aircraft. Another advantage of that is, if you're a experienced pilot, or you really don't need a self-leveling gyro anymore, if you have one with a plane, I would still use it, because you're flying along, and like here in Florida, we get sweat gets down your eyes. Well, you're blinded for half a second. Well, if you can flip that switch into stability mode and level the plane, let it fly for half a second while you've got time to clear your vision, or a bug flew in your eye or something. Now you've got a little bit of chance to clear your vision and save your investment. So that's one of the nice advantages of having a self-leveling type gyro. And it gives you something to progress. Think of, like, if you ever learned how to ride a bicycle, you may have started with training wheels. Well, you still get the experience of driving the bike or riding a bike, but you want to get beyond to where you don't have to have the training wheels, and that kind of opens up your riding a whole lot more, kind of opens that world up for you. And that's why I look at self-leveling as training wheels for airplanes. Is really the goal is to not have to need them, but it's nice to have them there in case you do. Alrighty, let's Like I say, this is a tail dragon. This plane is probably a better choice for the average RC pilot, because not everyone is going to be able to be a part of a club that has a nice runway like I have at mine. I'm very fortunate, very blessed in that manner. But if you don't have a runway and you've got a grass field or just an open, like a football field or a soccer field or a public place that's all grass, well, then a plane like this is absolutely perfect for that. It's small enough where you shouldn't necessarily have to take it apart, but you can if you need to. Didn't unbox and build on it. It's a good size, and it's big enough where it's easy to see. The black and white livery, or is how it looks. It looks really good in the air. You've also got yourself some navigation lights on the front, and you got some nice features. You got some more advanced features like that you don't have in the little Ranger. You've also got flaps on this one. Okay, and those assist in basically slowing the plane down but maintaining stability as you fly. This plane also has something that you're probably not going to be able to see in the camera unless I bring the wing closer, and it's these little, you see these little like shark teeth on the front here? These are called vortex generators, and what those do is when you're flying at a slower speed, it creates a controlled turbulence over the top of this wing, giving you a little more lift and a little more stability and a slower flight. That's another reason that this makes this plane such a good plane for a beginner. Alrighty. In this series, the next part, I have a spoiler for the next part, is the first plane. I gave you a guide on getting to know an RC plane, a beginner's guide from takeoff to start doing touch and goes and everything in between, and that was with the Ranger 1220. This one's going to be getting to know RC planes, and basically we're going to be out in the field. We're going to be doing some grass stops with this, taking off, showing a little bit what this plane is capable of, and basically showing the beginning characteristic of this plane, using the stability mode, doing some flights in stability mode, back to our imaginary rectangle. Remember I told you in the Ranger video that you want to imagine when you're teaching yourself how to fly, or you're being taught how to fly, an instructor is going to show you you're going to have a pattern. Well, if you don't have a pattern, what I like to do is, you just imagine a big imaginary coffee table, a big rectangular coffee table, and then this is just how I imagine. I take a couple of school buses in my mind and I stack them end to end on the corners of the legs of that coffee table, that imaginary coffee table, and I raise it up 3 school buses high, and that's where I start. And I just fly those corners of that pattern, or the corners of the coffee table, and then as I get better, I take a school bus away and I lower that coffee table to where I'm flying about maybe 1 school bus, maybe a school bus and a high, just in my own way of measuring in my mind how high up that I'm going to fly. And then I just get those patterns, and then as I'm going to make a pattern to where I'm going to come around and do a landing, I start dropping those school buses and I make them my last leg, the last length of that coffee table, that imaginary coffee table, and that's lined up in my runway or where I've designated myself to land. And it's the same principle learning any plane. You're going to fly a pattern first, make sure your plane's good, it's trimmed, it's reacting the way it was before you start worrying about bringing it down for a descent and for a landing. And that's what we're going to be covering today. When we go out to the field in a little bit, establishing a pattern, learning how you're going to fly out in a grass field, because in a grass field you're not going to have a designated runway, so you kind of have to pick, okay, this is going to be the direction that I'm going to be flying in. Now I'm just going to be landing willy-nilly just anywhere. You need to try to get a discipline of an idea, okay, if my wind is coming from this direction, then I need to fly into that wind. So therefore this will be my runway, and there's my pattern, and then fly that pattern. Get that mental discipline going to fly a pattern and keep that pattern set. Now you may have to change that pattern based upon your wind. If the wind starts changing direction another way, then you might change your imaginary pattern and fly this way. because you're trying, the best recipe for success when taking off and landing any aircraft is taking off into the wind and landing into the wind. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. Adapting to your situation, landing on a non-set runway, establishing a pattern, and just getting to know an RC plane and what they're all about. Now, the next, this is going to be a three-part series. The last of the series was going to be progressing your skills with RC planes. And that'll be the next video, which will be in a few weeks from now. And that will be, in a week from now, that's going to be covering things like you've got a brand new plane, you want to get up, now you need to learn how to trim that plane. You need to learn how to use flaps. You need to learn how stall recover. You get up into an attitude, you've decided you don't need stability anymore, you want to try to get away from using self-leveling, and you want to fly free without any restrictions. Well, if you get into an attitude of, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to crash. How do you get out of a stall? How wings stall, what that stall actually means. You always hear the term tip stall, but that's just a stall. It's just a type of stall. And how to get out of that, how to counteract that, and how not to get in that. Certain planes require certain disciplines, like this is a curved wing cub, so you're going to fly it a certain way, where if you've got a plane that's got more squared off wings, it may fly a little bit different. And then we're going to go over different types of planes in that video also. I'll be on the bench, I'll put some planes up. This is the next video, I'm just so you know. Put some planes up and give you examples of planes and what we're going to be in. But we're going to be using that video, we'll be using the PA 18 to 1700, the larger one, and we'll be using the 1800 millimeter Ranger. That way the bigger brothers of these two trainers right here. All right, well, let's get out to the field, let's get this in the air and start getting ourselves a pattern and getting to know RC planes. See you at the field. Well, hello folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. All right, as we were talking about in the man cave, we were talking about different types of wing types, and you're getting to know RC planes, or getting to learn RC planes. Well, one of the ways is to learn different types of wing types as you're going to get into this hobby. We've already discussed the FMS Red Ranger 1220. I told you it gave you a beginner's guide on flying all the way from flying to touch and goes and everything. So now we're going to be concentrating on a tail dragger type plane, where you have the big bush tires in the front and the tail dragger in the back, because it's a different type of landing. And this type of plane is great for the majority of the RC planes. If you're wanting to start out, you're going to be starting out in this type of terrain where you're going to have grass or a field or a ball field, or just anywhere where you have public access where you can legally fly an RC plane. Just make sure you follow whatever local or municipal laws that you have in your area. All right. Now, starting yourself up with a recipe for success, do your best to take off into the wind and land into the wind. And if you're unsure how the wind, or you don't have access to a windsock or something, simple thing that I like to do, and there's not that much wind today, but a simple thing to do is pick up some grass. And which way does it fall? Okay, going that way, that means the wind is coming from that direction there. Just to test it again. Grass is blowing that way, so I'm going to take off that way. So actually, Gabriel, if you would stand over there and film this way, because that's going to change our trajectory. All right, now this is a cub, okay? We're going to take off in beginner mode. We're going to be taking off in this direction and landing in this direction. That's what, because taking off, landing into the wind and taking off into the wind will give you the best possible control.
Motor ready to mess you up. Stay back.
All right, I've already got a throttle cut established. I've turned the throttle cut off, so I now have full control, or I got throttle now. And you'll want to always do a control surface test. Make sure everything's working correctly. Right aileron, left aileron, up elevator, down elevator, right rudder, left rudder. And this particular plane also comes with flaps. But we're not going to talk about flaps just yet. We're just going to fly the plane in simple 4-channel control. Alrighty. I'm in stability mode, otherwise it's in the Reflex version 3, was watching this plane. It is their self-leveling or beginner mode. So we're just going to, remember that talked about that imaginary coffee table? Well, that's what we're going to do now, except now my coffee table is right here. All right, so let me get over here next to Gabriel, and we're going to start flying. And by the way, Gabriel's son's on my camera today, helping us out, doing some filming. All right. All right. Here's my first bus in the school. Here's my first corner of my school bus. Okay. All right, there's going to be a second corner of the school bus. Third quarter of my school bus, of my imaginary coffee table. Okay. Going into the wind, so I'm starting to meet some resistance. Give a little more throttle to maintain my speed. Okay, and then here I'm another school bus corner, or corner of my imaginary coffee table. Then here's my other corner. All right, now I've flown my circuit now. Let's go ahead and fly that one more time. Like I said, you just got this imaginary school bus, imaginary coffee table, and so many school buses high, stacked end to end. Hope y'all have watched that other video. He says, "What are you talking about school buses?" All right, just turning the plane, a little bit of rudder, keeping my ailerons level, keeping my wing level, keeping my throttle going to maintain momentum. Okay, I am starting to drift a little bit because the coffee table's getting moved because of the wind. All right. All right. I'll start decreasing my throttle now. Actually, I'm gonna go a little further out. Start decreasing my throttle. Turn on that corner. Start decreasing my throttle a little bit. A little more throttle. Let go of throttle. A little less throttle. A little less throttle. Okay. Keep my wings level. We're going to land it. And there you go. Don't be in a hurry. Don't rush yourself. Okay, bring that plane in nice and level, and then just a little bit of flare. Let them main. With this type of plane, you're going to try to let the tail touch first. But those wheels are so wind pushing. That wheel is so. Those big wheels are so forgiving. All right, our wind has now changed. Look. Now it's going that way. So now we're going to go that way. But that's something you have to do. You have to adapt. When you're out here, especially with a plane like this where you don't have a defined runway now. So we're going to fly with the wind. So we want to try our best. So that's why it's important to keep that imaginary rectangle or that imaginary coffee table. Keep it mobile. Because that wind's going to change on you. But you'll learn that. There we go. Turn now. We're not going to fly as high this time. The biggest thing is don't panic. Altitude is your friend. Maintain level wing. Forward momentum. Keeping your fingers on the sticks at all times. And just have some fun with it. Get used to how the plane reacts as you turn. Get used to how the plane goes in straightaways.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
Just fly your pattern. And all I'm doing is using a little bit of rudder for direction and a little bit of aileron to keep my wings level as I turn. And this Reflex version 3 is helping me keep the plane level so I can perform these maneuvers. All right. But it's perfect for a beginner. It keeps this plane self-level. Keeps it level for me. Great for the beginner to build some confidence, learn his pattern. and learn spatial awareness. The other thing is where your plane is in the universe, how away from you, because you got to remember, when I say spatial awareness, I don't just mean where you're at. You have to remember how the plane is going to go against you. Like right now, now the plane is going away from me, so the controls are one way. So then if I turn around, I got the plane coming back at me, the other direction, now coming at me, which it will be here in just a second, then that's going to be, the controls are opposite. So you don't try not to think about that. You just need to get used to flying it, get used to the pattern. All right. Just get used to how it handles.
30 seconds.
All right. Come in kind of hot, kind of fast. Let's get turned around here. I'm going to turn the pattern the other way here.
20 seconds.
All right, decreasing my throttle, decreasing my throttle. I had a 5-minute timer set, just so you know. All right, there you go. All right, with this type of plane, you're wanting to get as close to a 3-point landing as you can. On the grass, it's a lot more forgiving, but if you try to land on something harder, like a runway, you're going to get a lot of bounce.
Timer expired.
All righty. I'm 4 seconds over on a 5-minute timer. Let me turn my throttle off.
Prop is secured. Safe to approach.
Okay. Approach the plane from the rear if you can. Okay. Throttle cut is off. I mean, throttle cut's on, so the motor doesn't work. There's my throttle. Okay. And we're going to check this battery. See where we're at. This is a great plane for a beginner it's got a rough field. All right, we got 66%, so we definitely can go up again. I just set a 5-minute timer as kind of a default setting, but really for this plane, this is I'm running an 1800 3S battery in there, all the way forward to make CG right. And it's just this is just a great economical, great beginner friendly plane. Well, the wind has pretty much died now, so we're going to go that way. But we're going to stay away from that sun, because that's the other thing, is you get in the sun, you don't never look at the sun whenever you're flying, for obvious reasons, because you'll be blinded for a few seconds, and then those few seconds may be all it takes for you to lose sight of the plane. All right, now all that landing and taking off, all this flying we did completely in the beginner stability mode. Now I'm going to take the plane, put it in optimized mode. Okay, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what this plane can do. Very much not in optimized mode, or very much not in beginner mode. Very capable plane. Traditional loop. Okay. Nice roll. These are just things you can do, and you get to learn that plane. How that plane feels in your hand. How that plane feels to you through the transmitter. All right.
Minus 1 minute. Landing flaps.
How that plane could just float.
Flaps up.
Got a little knife edge here. All right. The important thing about learning, getting to know RC planes and learning RC planes is just a matter of stick time, consistency, getting out here, getting yourself a little bit of safe altitude, enjoying yourself, learning how that plane reacts, and just what it does. And altitude is your friend. It gives you time to think, but not so far away where you can't tell what the plane is doing. All right, I think we have definitely demonstrated. Whenever we come back to do, I'm going to be doing a how to improve your airplane skills video very soon, and that will address flaps and flap usage. Okay, hey,
Flaps up.
caught the wind. But it's a beginner plane. It's very robust. But I can't leave it like that. Just can't leave it like that.
-2 minutes. Landing flaps. Flaps up.
Just like butter. Like a butterfly with sore feet.
Prop is secured.
Alrighty.
Approach.
We ended up flying a total, now I've got the throttle cuts on, okay? We ended up flying a total time of 7 minutes and 12 seconds of stick time. Okay, let's go ahead and check our battery again. And like I keep saying, getting to know RC planes is a matter of stick time, consistency, coming out here, taking your plane, getting it up, flying a nice pattern, establish yourself a pattern, getting used to how that plane feels in your hands, how it feels through the transmitter. The goal of every RC pilot is to develop what I call the feel. And what that is it only comes with time and experience, and for everyone it's different. It's just a matter of getting up, getting that plane up there into where you're able to fly that plane, and when that plane banks right or banks left, you can physically feel that in the transmitter. You're able to feel how that plane reacts in your hand. And once you establish that skill, and it's like in your Eureka moment, once you get that, at that point it opens up the entire world of RC planes, because at that point, to me, that's when you're really getting born into RC planes, once you've developed that feel. For some people, they never get beyond the self-leveling stage, but that's okay. Whatever gets you out here flying. But the goal is to get to where you can feel that plane through your transmitter. And the URC pilots who have it know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's a wonderful feeling. 31%, that's perfect. Now, we're going to check this per cell. Okay, this is a 3 cell, so I should have three close numbers. I've got 31, okay, 3.7 per cell, 3.7 per cell, and 3.7 per cell, and the whole thing is 31% left. All right, that's a good storage rate on LiPos. Now, I have a video on LiPo care. I'll get a link to it to explain to you about how to care for your LiPos, because you'll find in this hobby that the planes and the transmitter are more like one-time costs, okay? But your batteries are your ongoing expense, and you'll find that that's the most expensive part of the hobby, is buying batteries, because you're going to go through them more than you're going to go through transmitters and planes, I hope. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching. I hope my rough, unscripted way of explaining how to get to know RC planes kind of helps. It's all a matter about exposure, taking a little bit of risk, a little bit of spend a little bit of money, you know, and then you come out here and you have some fun with a plane. Get to know it in the air. Keep flying that pattern. Take off from the wind, land into the wind, and have some fun with it. And that's how you get to know RC planes, by having fun with them. God bless y'all. Jesus is Lord. Gabriel, thank you for filming. And FMS, thank you for the FMS PA18 1300mm for review. God bless y'all, and we'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.